Hello, folks. Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. Well, it looks like he finally stepped on his crank. Who are we talking about? None other than Fikile Mbalula, the current Secretary General of the African National Congress. What has he done? Well, he's been running his mouth for years. It looks like he's finally going to pay a price for it. Report in the News 24 publication said that the ANC has gagged Fikile Mbalula amid criticism over his Nicklin fire pool comments. For my international audience that's not familiar with South Africa, the former President Jacob Zuma used and diverted state resources, taxpayer money, to upgrade his personal residence in KwaZulu-Natal known as Nicklin, including a luxurious pool for him to hang out. Well, in order to cover up his crimes of state theft, what they did is the African National Congress argued that it was a fire pool. It was a pool for water in case of a fire because of thatched roofs. It's utterly ludicrous, but they actually sent a fire crew out there and sticking a pump into his swimming pool and then sucking water out to hit the building. And they lied. Well, recently he admitted in a speech he gave that the ANC lied. This is after Jacob Zuma announced his new party, the Mkhonto we Sizwe Party, seizing on the name of the liberation struggle armed wing of the ANC, known for its terrorist actions and its failed campaign in Angola, Mkhonto we Sizwe. Now there's a party called that, and the former President Jacob Zuma is endorsing and supporting it. And so Fikile Mbalula, who once was an avid supporter of Jacob Zuma, that's how he got his cabinet position, is now a vocal critic, saying that the fire pool was a lie. The ANC lied to cover up for Zuma, and he's ungrateful. Well, you put your foot in your mouth there, Fikile. One National Executive Committee insider apparently said it appeared Mbalula had forgotten that his role is an administrative role, not a leadership role. Another said that he behaved as if he was at a social gathering. Well, the insider says, we think he forgets that he is not our boss. The boss is the National Executive Committee, and the president is the main boss, Cyril Ramaphosa. We will discuss it at the next neck because we believe he is decampaigning the ANC. Indeed, he is. The 52-year-old former African National Congress Youth League leader served as Minister of Sport and Recreation from 2010 to 2017, Minister of Police 2017 to 2018, Minister of Transport 2019 to 2022, and took up his current post as ANC Secretary General in 2022. Now, his time in government has not exactly been free of controversy. As Deputy Minister of Police, he led a ministerial effort to amend Section 49 of the Criminal Procedure Act, which would allow police to use lethal force even when it was not necessary. He encouraged police to shoot the bastards. In 2011, his ministry drafted, when he was in the sports ministry, an international sport and recreation plan, which included a transformation charter, a racist plan to wipe out minorities from sport in South Africa. As the sports ministry was also a harsh critic of the national soccer team, Bafana Bafana, which translates to the boys, the boys. Now, he called the team a bunch of losers after they got eliminated during the group stage of the 2014 African Nations Cup Championship. And he said they were a disgrace and embarrassing when they failed to qualify for the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations. That's the AFCON, because they misread the eligibility rules. Well, he's right about all that, but not exactly without controversy. In December of 2018, the public protector, Busisiwe Makwabane, reported that he violated the Constitution and the Executive Ethics Act by funding arrangements for an expensive family holiday in Dubai while he was sports minister in 2016. He denies it, but in fact, he was found guilty of it with no action taken against him. Now, what's interesting is that his appointment as a minister in the first place seems to be in no small part based on the undue influence of the Guptas under Jacob Zuma. Trevor Manuel, former senior official in the government, recounted an ANC National Executive Committee meeting in August of 2011, where Fikile Mbalula, and I quote, this is Trevor Manuel, the Fikile Mbalula we once knew wept as he spoke. He explained that he'd been called to Saxonwold, that's where the Guptas live, by the Guptas in May 2009, was told that he was being promoted from the position of Deputy Minister of Police to Minister of Sport. A few days later, the president confirmed this change. The weeping was about the fact that he, Fikile, was happy that he'd been made it into the cabinet, but it was wrong to have learned this from Atul Gupta. Didn't see him having any problem with it. So that shows you how close the Guptas were to Zuma, picking ministers in the cabinet. In the Ministry of Transport, he had a mandate focused on repairing road and rail infrastructure, particularly to transfer 10% of road freight to rail by the end of his legislative term. Now, how has that gone? Now there's virtually no rail traffic. Everything except with the exception of coal is pretty much being transported by trucks, and the infrastructure on the roads is destroyed. And all of that happened on his watch and has continued. As far as to the gagging of his overly large mouth, the insider said most NEC members believed that he had gone against the NEC's decision to ignore Jacob Zuma's MK party. And the insider said, we are all very annoyed when he started speaking about Jacob Zuma and the MK party because we had all agreed not to talk about this. But he ruined things by opening his mouth. What he did was put us on the back foot going into the rally. That's the 112th anniversary of the ANC that just took place. We now had to manage that. So something needs to be done about this. And he was also quoted saying, the insider, I don't even want to start talking about this. Mbalula thinks we are at the social event or a party. And that is not where we are, the insider said. He needs to channel that energy towards his actual job, which is simply administrative. Folks, Fikile Mbalula is political gold for opposition political parties. The guy does not engage his brain before he opens his mouth. It's not exactly a recent development, as the episodes I mentioned earlier point out, with regard to shooting people and the national soccer team Bafana Bafana. At the January 8th ANC rally, he was largely silent and did not get much airtime or attention. It appears that after publicly exposing the ANC's obvious duplicity over the fire pole at Nicklin a decade later, Mbalula has finally gone too far even for the ANC to tolerate his nonsense. So at the moment, Fikile Mbalula is being marginalized and muzzled. And quite frankly, for the ANC, that's good news. As long as he isn't opening his mouth, he can't reveal the truth about the corruption in his own party unwittingly. You see, he's not a very bright individual, as borne out by his public statements and his arrogance. This is what happens when unqualified people are elevated to political position without merit and spend their entire adult lives suckling off the teat of the taxpayer, never accomplishing anything. Notice he's never had a job. He's never had a job in the private sector. He's never served in uniform. He's never served in the government other than appointed political positions for which he didn't have to qualify. He was simply put there as a patronage hire. And that's what you get, patronage in South Africa and destruction. There you have it, folks. Fikile Mbalula gagged by the ANC. From an ANC perspective, long overdue. For those of us commenting and for political opposition parties and the electorate, it's too soon. All of us are happy to see him put his foot in his mouth every time he opens it. Hey, folks, if you're not a subscriber, why don't you come on, hit that button and join us right here at Chris Wyatt Reports on the Indaba Africa channel. Be safe out there.